going on, everyone?
Hey!
All right.
Welcome to another episode of Carbonite Bounty BS with me and the nerds. How's everyone doing this week?
Doing great.
Great, guys. Yeah.
Good week. And before we get going, I would say a pleasant week. Definitely a really big pickup episode. So very surprised on what they did on this one, but it kind of shows um, differentiation in what they're doing. So I kind of appreciate that. Before we even dive into this episode, let's let DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com. People, make sure you're going to your favorite website and checking out your favorite social media outlets and tagging us on there: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. If you are listening to us on podcast, make sure you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere that you're listening to your favorite podcast, we are there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. All right. And also hit that subscribe button, notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. Also make sure that you are sharing our, fantastic YouTube episodes. If you're on Facebook, thank you as well. Join our Carbonite Bounty BS the Star Wars group, or you get your favorite memes and favorite conversations on anything Star Wars related. And they also have an easy share button too. So make sure that you share with all your friends and relatives and pets. All right. All right, so give us some feedback at nerdcyclopedia.com, people. We love getting your feedback and hopefully read it on air.
That's right. If you email us, we'll read it on air, no matter what you say.
No matter what you say.
Even if it's stupid. Especially if it's stupid.
No, right.
Uncensored.
Only if it's stupid.
We only deal with stupid. I mean, our fans, our listeners aren't going to be putting out the PhD level theses, I think. But that's okay. We love them anyway.
Whoa, wait a minute. Nerd. we're the top of the class, yo.
Right.
Oh, man. Transgression.
That definitely works. But yeah, I mean, another fun episode. We'll start with Hitch this week. What was your initial thoughts?
So I really like this episode a lot. It surprised me with what they decided to do. At first, I was like, these robots having like no master is pretty awesome, because I love the idea of artificial intelligences taking over and just doing random crap and not trying to, be dominant or whatever. That's what I prefer, my artificial intelligences. But that was such a great misdirect. It was seeming like this was going to be a boring paint by numbers episode. And honestly, the idea of, these multiple factions fighting for this Jedi on Kashyyyk was really awesome. It was really awesome. I really liked how they differentiated all the characters of the different Wookiees. They didn't just make a bunch of Chewbacca's running around, which I think is always a danger when we deal with the Wookiees on Kashyyyk. And they gave this thing stakes. I mean, they didn't use subtitles for any of the Wookiees, which I loved. I love that they let us just figure out what it was and did like the basic translations. Yeah. Just a really great episode of this show. And honestly, I wasn't expecting it after the first maybe 5-10 minutes. Kind of similar to last week. I was almost checking out, and then they managed to have them find a Jedi. It's very believable that this Jedi survived Order 66 because they are a Wookiee, and Wookiees are quite a hardy group, as we know. And I was also excited because Gungi, Wookiees live a very long time, much like how Grogu being 50 years old in The Mandalorian means that we can project that Grogu could be involved in Star Wars stories for many centuries beyond. Gungi here, Gungi, almost like Ganja, right? Gungi is going to live for like another 2 centuries probably. So if all of a sudden Gungi showed up in Mandalorian season 3, it would make sense and be cool. So real win for me on that account. And look, they gave Gungi something to do. Gungi isn't some, monk. Is very active. Gungi made the snarly face and went after.
Gungi got game.
He was pissed, and I like that he acted with his anger. And I think that we see that this Jedi does not fall into the trap of navel gazing and philosophy that some Jedi do. So very positive review for me for this week. Enjoyed it very much.
Yeah. What about you, Ken?
So I have to reboot something that you said, Steel City. They did subtitle the Wookiees because I have to watch subtitles on because I don't know what the hell Omega's saying. So they did do subtitles for the Wookiees. Just want to put that out there. Anyway,
Perfect.
Filoni, damn you! What? Why are you so good? Why do you bring a Jedi Wookiee in right when we need connection? Right when we need a new a Star Wars story. So that's what this was, right? This was your traditional Star Wars story going to an off-world planet and rescuing a tribe of people who are about to be destroyed by the Empire, right? Not directly, but with Imperial tanks. Okay, so we had Transodians that we haven't seen them in this series yet. I mean, that was a great manipulation. I like this episode. It had that video game mission vibe for me, so I like that. I dug that there was a lot of good and really with abandoned murder. So the way they took that one, what was his name? Varman. He was the insect was like the insects were tearing him apart, and we heard him screaming in the background. Like that was very legit murder, and retribution against basically burning maybe thousands of Wookiees. I don't know, but I mean, this episode for me had not only a great soundtrack, because I noticed that right off the bat. Even the second time I watched it, the soundtrack was elevated, but the camaraderie again with the Bad Batch and them, setting themselves apart from the other clones, was also strengthened here. That they aren't those clones, And Hunter said it. We aren't those clones, because at first Gungi was a little, hesitant, but then Omega, I don't know how she did it, because no one can understand what the hell she's saying, but she brought Gungi back, and built that confidence. And Hunter came in with a line, we're done with war. We need to start making decisions that don't lead to war. So there was a lot of good vibe, a lot of good Star Wars energy, a lot of like original just concept stuff like that I remember from A New Hope. It's not about the fight. There's the fight, there's the battle, but then we need peace. We need to bring things back, and it can't be all destruction and people dying. And I thought, I really liked this episode. I thought it was, and this was another mission based, right? So this was something that Sid gave them on the back end that we sort of got a continuation of. So last week was let's call that a spin-off. And this was back to their original timeline. But I dug the way it went. It flowed really good, and it ended in a nice place. I wanted it to go an extra 5 minutes though, because I just wanted to see maybe Ewoks celebrating and banging on stormtrooper helmets or clone trooper helmets at the end. It had the whole Return of the Jedi ending vibe for me, but I dug it. It was good.
What about you, DP?
Yeah, it was a good episode. I really like the Wook. Their different tribes and stuff. Is what the episode was titled. I would have probably liked to see a little bit more of that. When have we gotten Wookiee centric? Just expanding on that, like that territory. I mean, do you guys have we got that in this medium yet?
No.
Any concentration or anything like that. So
I think on Attack of the Clones, they went to Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
They do a little bit. They do it in the EU and the video games a lot, but nothing really in the mains.
Nothing in the main stuff. Okay. So this was like good to see, and I'm glad Filoni, sort of, expanded the mythology as far as that. So that was good to see. We got laser swords. We haven't gotten that since I like the first episode of like the first season, right? Yep. So so we got like the good lightsaber, action and everything. Good, always good hearing that. You get a little bit excited, hearing that, and knowing that Gungi is a Jedi and everything. We got a little bit more Jedi mention, a little bit more of that lore, in the episode. Our heroes in this are just surviving. They're not trying to take over. They're not trying to defeat like the Empire. They're not trying to save the galaxy or whatever. The Bad Batch is surviving out there. They're going from mission to mission, just trying to find a way to stay out of the Empire's way and just basically survive. And I'm okay with that. Sure that you would like to have like overarching stuff and like a goal, and maybe they will eventually get to that, but I'm fine with like some of the 18 adventures and stuff, just as long as they keep me engaged.
Right.
Omega, she's got to go.
She's got to grow up. She got something got to happen.
She's got to do something.
Yeah, it's tough.
It sort of takes me out of it because I sort of revert back to it being, I don't like saying cartoon with this show, because I like putting it on the same level as what I usually see with every other Star Wars stuff, but Omega brings it down to that point. Whereas all our Bad Batch, heroes and everything, they're straight laced and why I guess you can't make it all like, too hyper serious and she's got to be like the, the light edge of the show. I don't know. For me, Omega, they got to do something more with her. But other than that, this episode, I liked it.
Yeah, and I second your opinion. I noticed. I think it was maybe like 8 or 9 minutes in the episode. As we got deeper into it, the voice actor actually changed their voice, so it was not as high pitched. If you noticed that, so the beginning it was like the whole kind of like childish, kind of like real high pitch. I think the actress from New Zealand, so very like I guess New Zealandish, so it was very strong. But as the episode got on, it was less pronounced and was more solemn. But I do agree. I mean, based on her age, where she is as a character, these are things you would see from child Leia, right? I mean, this is a clone who's been I'm guessing. I mean, preteen. She should be almost a teen at this point. I'm guessing in her age, maybe a little older, but the petulance she has, it doesn't add up, right? She's been around him long enough. She should know better. So the little bit of the petulanceness from a clone, it's, a perfect clone in a sense of a warrior, of a fighter. It's kind of funny, but, I don't know. As DP said, more of a, I guess she has to be the comic relief for the later edge of the show because the Bad Batch are kind of so rigid as far as how they are. But other than that, no, I second everything you guys said. I really enjoyed it. I did think it was a little short. It's funny. It seems like some of the ones that you want to continue a couple more minutes, like they kind of cut them a little sooner, but they're cut in short story format. It's almost like those Star Wars short stories we had. So it was cool, to kind of get in and out on these episodes. And they're kind of like different. It's a weird series this year because I felt like last year, season 1 of Bad Batch, it was more structured. This seems like they're a little bit all over the place, so it's almost like each episode is a different story. So kind of different storytelling. The last point I'll say, and this will lead into our discussion for the evening, but I really do like the whole, the Wookiee Jedi thing and the fact that we are seeing remnants of Jedi surviving Order 66 because the whole story we've been told, even leading into the sequel trilogy, is look, everybody's dead, right? Everybody's gone. This is the last Jedi, even though we know there probably are stragglers out there. So once again, I wouldn't say full course correction or rebooting, but this is more of slotting things in to make it make really real sense, right? I mean, there are Jedi that survived.
Yeah,
there are Jedi still. Yeah, it's realistic. Yeah. I mean, so I like how they are doing these things, not really just course correct, but just make it make sense for us that there are other Jedi out there, and we're getting Jedi that are other species, which are even more exciting, right? Because they're not just humanoid Jedis. We're also seeing how big
Wookiee Jedis, and I would like to have seen the handle because aren't they more Earth? They're
like
more,
they are. They have the
more natural.
Like they share it out.
Yeah, their handles are made of wood. They have so I would have liked to seen that architecture, but really it was just nice to see that action going on, and I liked that it was green.
Right.
Yeah,
that was pretty.
That's the right color.
Yeah, that is the right color.
These and it's an excellent portrayal of like the matriarchal culture of the Wookiee, of Kashyyyk, which I think was really great, and it's something that we've seen before. I mean, really, the second actual filmed thing of Star Wars all took place on Kashyyyk, right? The whole Star Wars Christmas special was on Kashyyyk. So we're coming back to some real original stuff when you really think about it that way. Ken, you mentioned the music, And I want to really second that, because the leitmotif that they used was the Duel of the Fates leitmotif.
Yep.
And hearing the way they put that into the forest, man, just a real home run for me. You know, and any time you're remixing a John Williams beat, I think you're gonna win. And that was a huge win for me. And if that's how they want to convey, you know, the consequences of Empire in this series, great. Use that over and over, and I'll really keep coming back for more really awesome stuff.
So yeah, go to what you were saying, T Mitch. Yeah, they did have a more structured thing last season. Last season was more or less about Crosshairs. You know, the betrayal of Crosshairs and everything, and you know, him just going straight over to the Empire, him slowly defecting over to the Empire. We're not getting any of that, you know, this season. I mean, it's 6 episodes, and I think we only got 1 episode of Crosshair so far.
I think there were 2.
Yeah,
the 2 already.
It was 2. Yeah, it was like 1.5. They showed a little bit, and then.
Yeah, I mean, they need to balance that a little bit more and everything.
And that's what I'm saying. I think he's going to come back, because when we last saw him, he's getting basically dissed by the Empire. You know, he's not getting good gigs. He's not getting things that are really challenging him. And I think they're kind of putting him on the back burner because he's kind of weird. He's kind of like a nerd clone, you know. He's not really the kind of the fighter that they want, the Empire's looking for. He's a little bit sketchy, and I think they see that, so they're giving him crap jobs. Basically, they're giving him stuff that no one else wants and don't really matter. So I think that we're going to see him come back and join. If they don't, then they got to have a good reason why. I mean, Filoni's got to have a good reason why he's not going to bring these guys back together.
I could see that, but to me, I think they need a good 2 or 3 episode stretch across here. I mean, we know what our heroes are doing. You know, we know what they're doing and everything. What is our main interest doing? What is he up
he's
to?
Legit. I mean, this guy's bad. Yeah,
yes, and he's with the Empire.
Yeah,
who we're interested in. You know, what is up with the clones? Like, you know, how are they transitioning over into stormtroopers and everything? How's all that being affected? How's all that affecting Crosshairs? You know, with all these changes going on, he's slotted directly into the mess. And our heroes, you know, our other, you know, A-team members, they're not knowing anything that's going on, you know. So what happens when, like you said, if, you know, he comes, you know, if they cross hairs or whatever.
They cross hairs.
if they do that, how do they react to each other? You know, how do you know, you split them apart for so long and everything. How do they react going back to each other? So I'm very interested in how they're building that up.
I think the other thing about the Crosshair parts is we're getting answers to some really big questions about Star Wars whenever we're with Crosshair. I mean, and the question is, what happened to the clones? What happened to the clones? They're gone. By the time, I mean, and they shouldn't all be dead. The same way the Jedi shouldn't all be dead, right? There should be a couple stragglers that are older that we see, or they should be talking about them because they've been around, but they're not. It's a paradox that has to have an answer in plot. And I think that they're sort of setting up something where, you know, Tarkin and the powers that be don't like the clones because the clones can change their minds. And really the only thing they have to keep the clones in line is, you know, the fist of Order 66. And if that's going to wear off and they're going to start thinking for themselves, because let's face it, their template is a dude that did whatever he wanted. he was like, you know what, I'm just going to go and blow up this planet or whatever. You know, because of that, I think that they're going to be seen as unreliable. And if that's the case, even if Crosshair wants to stay in the Empire, I mean, maybe he doesn't even get a choice. And if that's the case, you know, that could be a real interesting conflict to see, you know,
so
being driven out against his will.
Yeah, you see that. You see where he's just like, you know, they're not respecting me like I thought they would, right? They usher him into a dark office, and you know he knows who he's going to be talking to, but like no one, they don't really seem to respect him. So I feel like he's going to like defect or just like leave, maybe run loose, maybe the Bad Batch meet him when he's trying to do something on his own, like make up his own way in the world, and they I don't know, but there's definitely something there.
Crosshairs is at a point where he all he wants to do is follow orders, whatever orders that suit, I guess, suit him. I don't know if he's inherently evil or whatever, but he's a soldier. He does what a soldier does. The easiest thing and the simplest thing in his mind is to be told what to do and to go and do it. If you complicate it, muddy the mess and everything, then that's your problem. He wants to follow orders. So if he was to defect and go out on his own, what would he essentially do?
Anything he wanted.
Yeah.
He will be a free thinker.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it really shows, though, the character depth of Hunter, right? I mean, he really is the leader of the Bad Batch. When you look at any mission, they always default to him. I mean, it's always like he really has that leadership, those intangibles, right? And that's the issue with Crosshairs. Maybe he wanted to be the leader, or he wanted to do his own thing, and he's realizing now that he doesn't. He's better at just doing missions, just going off the cuff. He's not good at leading people.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want to follow Wrecker, because you'd have to dodge bullets all day long. You follow that guy because he doesn't think strategically. He just goes in. But Hunter is the one that brings the whole thing. He brings balance to the mission. When people start to get awry, look to see what he's doing. What does he suggest?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's something, with these cats. I mean, they all got their individual personality, but we got like or Hannibal. Like I said, 18. We always refer to 18 with them. Hunter's Hannibal. He always has a plan, knows what to do and everything. I wouldn't know what Crosshairs would be. Maybe that's why he's like not part of the 18 right now. But yeah, I just want to see more of like the Empire stuff. That's where my main interests lie. I can see this be building to like the back half where we're probably just going to have a stretch of goodness. So I trust Filoni, what he's done in like, Clone Wars, Rebels and everything, you had a lot of stuff that you just had to be patient with because goodness was just about to come. So trust in the guy.
I mean, we saw Jedi this week, and it's like,
oh yeah,
we don't like that's not where the plot was advancing. That was just sort of the thing they were doing to introduce this character's relationship with Bad Batch, and not by trying to shove a Jedi into the main Imperial plot. Right? It feels kind of natural that they'd bump into this and have to deal with the moral implications of finding a living prisoner imprisoned by computers, which hopefully we're not all ticketed for that, but who knows? And
when was the last time we seen him? Gunji? When was the last time we seen Gunji?
Was Gunji with the Was he with?
I don't know if he was on that Rebels episode.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't know.
Or was he with the? Was he one of the younglings that gets their crystal?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, they could have done that.
Because the name seems similar.
Yeah.
Gunji before. I just can't remember what episode, what series. We've seen him.
And the Wookiee leader Yanni is a character too from somewhere. Like, and I'm really glad they didn't go the whole like Gunji was Chewbacca's kid, or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't go that route. That would have been too much pandering. If you can pander too much, that would have been it. But Yanni has some relationship with Chewbacca. I don't know what. I feel like it's a family member.
Well, I mean that's acceptable,
Right.
Yeah, I could see that and everything. Yeah, like I said, I would have loved to see a little bit more of the Wookiee, tribes, and see how they deal with like their lives, and I just love the idea of different tribes and stuff, of different I guess races or whatever. I think the last time we got something like that was in Boba Fett, was it? We got that one episode where they would have different tribes and stuff. I forget. I think it was
The Tusken Raiders. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
different tides of Tusken Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the Tuscans have all like that's been a key thing for me. I've really liked to see the Tusken Raiders kind of get developed a little bit, because to me they were always kind of like a mysterious creature, because they were in almost every episode of Star Wars. You heard about the Tuscans, and then they brought them back in the prequel. So they were important for some reason, but we never knew like why. They were just these sort of savages, but they weren't. They were just these people that just want to be left the hell alone. They didn't want to get involved with, the Galactic Empire or Jedi or any of that. They just want to be left alone. And they just kept getting thrown into a skirmish here and there. But they were really, it was neat to see in Book of Boba Fett where they developed them as like family. Like, they were parents. They had children. They raised children. They thought, they were thinking, they were sentient. So that was, so that you're right, DP. This is the first time we've seen another tribe of, let's say, just aliens that are being developed a little bit within the universe.
It's interesting how many like village style indigenous cultures there are in the Star Wars universe. And it seems like they all have been given their own sort of unique culture to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
We see Kashyyyk here. We saw that culture, man, with the eye in Andor. And we see like you guys are saying, we see the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders all over the place. So it's interesting that there's this huge gulf between where like these sheep herders and these farmers are living, like not very different from subsistence living on our planet. And we have at the same time extremely wealthy people that are living in towers on city planets where there's all that concentration.
Right. Yeah. Like what's our favorite, like Mon Mothma? We got my man played on I can't think of his name right about now. But we seen him in we seen him in Rogue One, we seen him in like the prequel stuff. He was cheesy. He played in the cop show on ABC, the NYPD Blue. Come on,
Jimmy Smith.
Bail Organa.
Yeah, Bail Organa.
Space Jimmy Smith.
Who's that?
Oh wow.
NYPD Blue.
NYPD Blue. Wow.
Wow.
No, wait a minute. He was in Law and Order, wasn't he?
No, he was NYPD Blue for sure.
He's on the newer Law and Order, like the newer stuff. He's done a little bit.
Is he?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, that's what he does when he's not doing any Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. When he's not Bail Organa, he's Detective Blenson or whatever.
Law and Order. But yeah, we like you said, we were getting like rich people in the towers and stuff. So the universe is just vast. It's great to see. And of course we got the Mandalorian coming back out, so we're going to get a lot of Mandalore stuff. YPD blew up your planet. Hey,
blew up your planet.
They get blamed for a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And cops.
Just blame
not in '92. They weren't blamed.
Speaking
This
of
bifurcation, and it's interesting to see. Even Ahsoka's family is sort of like living out in the middle of the woods, communing with nature, and it's weird to see that. There wasn't much of that in the old Star Wars.
No.
It really was. Luke was dirt poor, but he wasn't living, a nomadic, lifestyle that was based on, being a hunter gatherer or living just out in the trees.
I think Owen Lars was pretty well off. I don't think of him as being a peasant necessarily. Mm-hmm. They were moisture farmers on a desert planet. You have to. That's the commodity on that planet. They probably secured themselves quite a pretty penny.
I suppose what I mean to say is that if if you asked me what I thought the average like lifestyle of the citizen of the Star Wars galaxy was like 15, 20 years ago, I'd have detailed a much higher standard of living than I would today. And that's interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, back to I was honestly, I remember when I was reading the Legends series, they got to a point where Luke was like 65 years old, but they were like, but it's really a Star Wars 65. Everybody, they have great medicine and everybody's living, for 150 years, and so being 60 is really like being 40. And they were saying that about all the everybody, like that had democratized its way all the way out to everywhere. But they're setting up that there are people who are essentially like refusing to join the Galactic Society, even though there are many tangible benefits that are obvious, which is not something I would have thought was frankly plausible maybe 10 years ago. If you told me that there were people who weren't taking the Faustian, weren't taking the bargain to live with the Imperials and let them do whatever and join the Galactic Society, I'd have said that's poppycock, because anybody, there's no way these people would choose to live like that on a large scale. And now I get it. I get it. I feel like that's legitimate.
Hey, it's resistance out there. Not everybody wants to conform, you got like complex personality. I mean, it's a great way to build a universe. It's a great way to build out, different just sects of people, sects of, just like we're just talking about the like Mandalore, the Ewoks, to a degree, Tusken Raiders and stuff, the Wookiees, just everyone, everybody. It's a well-rounded world, that you can reference. You got your hierarchy and everything, to all the way to your I guess peasants, if you want to call it slaves or whatever, and you got this one big evil empire.
You don't like the Empire, do you?
I'm not a big fan there, Kim. I'm
not a big fan. Okay.
No.
You won't be joining the Imperial Navy at any point.
Not at all. But yeah,
you could fly a TIE fighter. If you could fly a TIE fighter, would you join the Imperial Navy?
Hey, if they could teach me,
That's
those things are awesome, man. The H chips.
So you do have a price, don't you?
Hey, everyone does, Ken. Everyone does.
Yep.
For my man Palpy.
I'll send you on the best missions.
Oh man.
You can go ahead and bomb Camino.
Yeah.
But I guess I always felt like the Star Wars universe was more full of planets like Mandalore or Corellia or Coruscant-ish. Maybe not the whole planet, but a piece of it. Like Europe would be like Coruscant, and the rest would be more like on Earth. And it's interesting to see that we're, and I don't know if maybe this is just a function of where the stories are, or it's just a function of how the Empire has pushed, the friction out into these places that are just more remote, or what. Or if it's just a budgetary thing, maybe that's it. But to me, it's been a change in how I viewed, on how I viewed the economics of this place, and that's it.
So it's funny that you say that. So if you lived in the city all your life, know nothing but the city and everything, you probably couldn't even imagine how people in the valley, how people in the outskirts and stuff, how could you live in houses that are 2 miles apart from each other? What does that even look like? How do people even function out there? I mean, we drive past places that I'm like, there's no Walmart. I mean, Walmart has to be like 20 minutes from where you are.
How do you live?
20 minutes.
Right.
But yet they live out there. That's an interesting observation, DV. How did Owen Lars survive without a Walmart right near his homestead?
You're right, Ken. He had to rely on the Jawas coming by every so often to sell him stuff.
That's right. He had to rely on traders. Traders that would come with like their bags of junk. For him to purchase. Their junk droids. Bad motivators maybe on the droid.
Those dealers are always trying to pull things.
They're always trying to pull a fast one on these poor farmers out in the middle of nowhere. And then their nephew is running off to Anchorhead, which doesn't even have its own supermarket. He can't get no converters or hydro plasters or hydro spanners or anything to help
go to the city.
He's got to go to Tashi Station.
He's got to go to Tashi Station, and that's where he meets up with his girlfriend. Yeah, right.
Who's a city girl? Yeah,
Right, yeah.
City girl, and all she does is drink all day.
DP. They say, and by that I mean Karl Marx says that the issue with country people is that they don't have enough, they're not in enough close proximity to rely on people to the point where they develop solidarity on a wide basis. He sort of calls them sacks of potatoes because they don't understand that their needs and interests align with the urban proletariat, right? So because they have to rely on themselves so much because they're out in the middle of nowhere, they have a hard time developing that sort of class empathy.
And to each his own. You live how you live and everything. Everybody doesn't have that motive. To each his own. Some people like the water. Some people like living near the ocean. They can't.
Some directors make a movie about the water after making a movie about the land.
Speaking of which, no.
And they make it twice as long.
Oh man, yeah.
Greed bad, water good.
Yeah.
Is that it? Did I just summarize the movie? I have not seen that movie.
Hey, it's something. It's something.
It's visually stunning. Is all you can say.
It is visually stunning. Yeah.
That's about
You
it.
heard it here first. Get your edibles. Go see the movie.
I will say this. I wouldn't sit in the I wouldn't see that movie again. The next comes out.
I wouldn't see that movie again.
Exactly.
Yeah. It probably just I wouldn't see that movie until the next one is set to come out because it's long. It's long. And I think I said that off camera. We're talking about Avatar, guys. If you guys didn't know,
Yeah. Duh.
This is subtweeting in a podcast. Right?
But yeah, I said offline that that particular movie is it could have been a Michael Bay disaster, but it wasn't. It's James Cameron, so he does things with a lot more finesse. That Michael Bay stole a lot of his lyrics, and just bastardized all of it.
Basically,
Could agree that we got Transformers, about 5 times.
What you mean? It's rebooting. They just did a trailer for the new one, so we're going to Beast Wars now. So.
Oh well, it's not Michael Bay doing it, so that's a key. Yeah. So
Mark Wahlberg's doing it though, right?
No.
Yeah, I'm sure with that. I'm sure now the quality of those Transformer movies is going to go up. I'm sure that'll be.
Yeah, I mean they did Bumblebee. That was like a massive improvement over what they tried to do before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll stop using the actual toys and like children opening them up, into like the robot and then condensing them down to the truck. They'll stop doing that and they'll do like actual digital animation for that.
Well, like stop motion.
Yes, yeah, they'll do stop motion. Maybe they'll do claymation.
Claymation.
That's going back to the 80s, buddy. Woo.
Gumby just slides through.
And turns into a truck.
Gumby was a transformer. That's right. Gumby was a transformer. He could do most anything.
He could do anything. He could be a truck, a tank, a flower. He could be anything you wanted.
He could be a friend.
He could Gumby, damn it.
Oh well.
Yeah, man, definitely. It's crazy. We're coming up against. I mean, we got 4 weeks left, and we're hitting Mandalorian, right? It's so crazy thinking about it now, where we are, in this whole kind of stratosphere of things. I mean, we have another 10 episodes of this. I mean, interesting. I mean, as we talk about these stories and how they developed and like the interest. I mean, personally, and this could be our maybe our final takes going through this. I think they're playing a really dangerous game with this season because it's different. Um, I find myself like Hitch does a lot, kind of like clinging on to an episode where maybe I'm just like, if this wasn't Star Wars, I'd probably turn it off. And then we're getting up to this property, this Mandalorian, and I'm like, I mean, like, so Wednesday night, like, I don't know what the hell they're doing that Wednesday night. I mean, are we gonna do like a simultaneous release or like,
We're just gonna have to talk about. I mean, I don't know. Really
you know what I
depends.
mean?
I
Like,
think
I don't
on
know
what.
what's gonna happen.
I mean, first of all, Luke Skywalker is a guest star on Mandalorian, so I feel like that is the thing that we're gonna need
Right.
to address, and then Bad
Mhm.
Batch is gonna have to wait until we've essentially run out of things to talk about on Mando, just because
I mean, that's
like
a
the
solid
scale.
hour, right?
Unless they bring it these last few episodes, I mean, and we'll see. We'll see how.
I just feel like it might be hard for us to split our attention, but for consumption's sake, like we're going to be watching them at the same time, so
Right.
it would make sense for us to address a little bit what's going on in the other one, especially if they're doing I'm starting to get the feeling they're doing, and they're going to start having things that they throw up and toss the ball in the air on Bad Batch and catch it on Mandalorian.
Right.
If that happens, then we're definitely going to have to
Yeah.
talk about them both. So
Right. Yeah.
ultimately, we may have to just do a recap for the end of Bad Batch at the end of Mandalorian just to catch up and then address it then. I mean, it might be how we have to do it.
To be honest, I'm finding with some of these episodes, we're not talking a lot about the episode itself. We just talk about the Star Wars lore and stuff.
Right.
The episode itself is what it is and stuff. It's only like 25 to 28 minutes at average.
I think this was like 18. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
them.
this was
If you count what you would get with a typical Mandalorian episode, which is like about 40 minutes, the Bad Batch sort of fills that up. We end up just talking about that both, if they end up premiering them both on Wednesday, for like the time that we're on.
Yeah, maybe we combine the two.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
Do a lightning round.
Yeah.
And,
Around the horn. What do you
less,
think?
less New Zealand accent, please. All right, thanks everybody.
But no, I mean, like you guys said, I think we're set up for a lot. I mean, this has been, I guess, as we talked about, this will be really the first kind of act ending, right? So this is the first act of this whole Bad Batch season 2. And as you said, we'll find out. Is it too long? Is it 18 is too long? We'll find out real soon, definitely. Based on like we said, in the next 3 weeks or next 4 weeks, we see Mandalorian, because I mean it's going to be a shift for sure on what's on. So, any final thoughts this week, you guys?
Yeah, looking forward to, I guess, more next week. Hopefully they give me some crosshairs.
Definitely. So hopefully we get this pickup as this episode did continue. And I guess until next week, guys, this is the way.
This is the way.
It's the way. Caught me off guard, man. I'm sorry.